You know, every single time you buy something, doesn't matter if it's a coffee, a car, a concert ticket, you're speaking a language you might not even know you're fluent in. It's a language of status, of desire, of deep, ancient programming. So today, we're going to decode that hidden language and figure out what our purchases are really saying about us.
Okay, let's just dive right in with a modern mystery. The Hummer H1. I mean, think about it. It is wildly impractical. It only seats 4 people, it needs a football field just to turn around, and it gets a laughable 10 miles to the gallon. It's a machine that seems to defy all logic, and yet, people buy it. That decision, it's not just about transportation. No way. It's a clue, a huge clue that points to the real engine driving our entire consumer society.
To really get why we'd ever want a Hummer, author Jeffrey Miller suggests this wild thought experiment. Travel back 30,000 years and try to explain our world to our ancestors. Imagine trying to explain money and shopping to them. You know what they wouldn't ask about? 401ks or interest rates. They'd cut right to the chase. Their question just slices through centuries of complexity to reveal what our modern desires are still really about: survival and reproduction.
So, yeah, let's take that journey. To understand our modern instincts, we have to see what happens when you basically place Charles Darwin in the middle of a shopping mall. We've got to contrast the world we evolved in with the one we've built for ourselves.
So consider 2 lives. 30,000 years ago, an average woman works about 20 hours a week, and she's surrounded by family and friends in this super tight-knit clan. Her days are filled with childcare, gossip, deep social bonds. Now fast forward. Think about an average modern woman. She might work 40 hours a week in a retail job, commuting far from her family, surrounded by total strangers. One life is defined by deep social connection, the other by fleeting commercial transactions. And we call this progress, but when you look at it this way, you just have to ask,
What is this all for? This relentless cycle of earning and spending, it almost seems to lead us further away from the very things, community, connection, purpose, that our ancestors just took for granted. So what is the real, unstated purpose of this massive consumer system we've all built? Well, the answer is not what you think.
The first clue to solving this puzzle isn't in our shopping carts. It's in the magnificent, invisible system that organizes our entire society. And no, it's not some secret cabal or a grand conspiracy. It's basically a communication network.
The brilliant economist F.A. Hayek, he identified this fundamental challenge for any society, and he called it the knowledge problem. Just think about it for a second. The information needed to run an economy, who needs what, where they need it, when they need it, it isn't held in one single place. It only exists as, and I'm quoting him here, dispersed bits of incomplete and frequently contradictory knowledge that's spread across millions and millions of individual minds. Hayek's profound insight was that the market solves this problem automatically. The price system, it acts like this vast, silent communication network. A change in the price of, say, tin tells thousands of people all around the world to use it more sparingly, and none of them even need to know why it's suddenly scarce. It's an absolute marvel of decentralized coordination.
Now, this is an incredibly powerful idea. It totally explains the how of our economic world. But it doesn't feel complete, does it? It doesn't explain the passion, the desire, that seemingly irrational craving for a Hummer or a Rolex or a pair of designer sunglasses. It explains the system's logic, but it doesn't explain our human illogic.
For that piece of the puzzle, we need to turn away from economics and look toward a much, much older story, the story of biology. Because the real communication that's happening isn't about the price of tin. It's about the price and the value of ourselves.
So think of it like this. Hayek's market uses prices to send signals about resources to the entire system. But we, as individuals, use our purchases to send signals about ourselves to each other. We're not just consumers, we are signaling animals. In evolutionary psychology, these signals are called fitness indicators. Just think of a peacock's tail. It's absurdly large, it's expensive to grow, and it makes the peacock an easy target for predators. But that's the whole point. It's a costly, hard-to-fake signal that screams, "Look how healthy and genetically superior I am. I can afford to waste all this energy on this ridiculous tail and still survive."
And this, right here, brilliantly illustrates the fundamental delusion of consumerism. We think we're buying a Hummer to show off our wealth or our status, but unconsciously we're trying to do something so much more primal. We're trying to use that purchase as our modern human peacock's tail, an advertisement for our underlying genetic and personal quality.
This revelation doesn't end the mystery. Oh no, it deepens it. If every purchase is a broadcast, what's the message? What are these fundamental virtues that we're so desperately and so unconsciously trying to communicate to the rest of the world?
So if consumerism is a language, what's its grammar? Well, it's time to crack the code to see what messages are actually being sent with every swipe of a credit card.
According to Miller's research, all our signals point back to a core set of 6 traits, the stuff that has always predicted our value as partners and allies. We're trying to display our mental horsepower, things like intelligence and openness. We display our reliability, conscientiousness, and stability. And we show off our social skills, agreeableness and extraversion. These are the biological virtues we're constantly advertising.
And we send these signals using a few key strategies. The most obvious one is conspicuous waste. A Hummer just burning fuel signals you have resources to spare. But there's also conspicuous precision. A minimalist watch can signal intellect and attention to detail. And finally, there's conspicuous reputation. Relying on a brand like Rolex, which has spent millions to build a reputation that you can basically borrow.
And get this, the cost of these signals can be absolutely staggering. Miller calculates that the price premium on a sports car like a Corvette, when you look at it purely as a signal to attract mates, might get you an average of 5 extra sexual encounters. The cost? A cool $10,000 per encounter. Suddenly that Hummer doesn't seem so irrational. It just seems like a very, very inefficient biological advertisement.
And here's the crucial point. You can fake the product, but it's nearly impossible to fake the trait. Anyone can buy a knockoff watch, but you can't fake the intelligence, or the humor, or the kindness it's supposed to represent in a real conversation. We are hardwired to detect inauthenticity, because for our ancestors, that skill was literally a matter of life and death.
So, what do we do with all this knowledge? Now that we know we're basically ancient primates trying to signal our worth in a digital marketplace, are we just stuck in this wasteful game forever?
Okay, let's just recap the logic here. 1. We have a deep, biological need to show off our best qualities. 2. Modern consumerism has brilliantly and very profitably hijacked that impulse, convincing us that the best way to do that is by buying things. And 3. The problem is, it's a terribly inefficient and often unsatisfying way to play the game.
But this is the most hopeful part. Once you understand the rules of a game, you can start to imagine a better one. And some thinkers are proposing some pretty radical new rules that could actually rewire our entire society.
One really powerful idea, championed by economist Robert Frank, is to shift from taxing income to taxing consumption. A progressive consumption tax would make saving and investing way more attractive, while making extreme, wasteful spending, like on a Hummer, much more expensive. It doesn't ban the behavior, it just makes the signal more honest by pricing in its true social and environmental costs.
And that leaves us with a final thought. We are programmed with this ancient desire to display our worth. Consumerism offers one language for doing so, a language of brands and status symbols and waste. But it's not the only one. If we become conscious of the game we're playing, could we invent new, more creative, more sustainable, and more meaningful ways to show each other who we really are? Can we learn to speak a better language?